Welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to see you. I want to say welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I want to start off by jumping in and asking you guys how you're doing today. Hope you're having a good day. And I'm not going to take a lot of your time. I'm going to talk about the movie Sinners and just tell you a few things that you may or may not know about the movie, the economics of this film. Ryan Coogler, congratulations, this man. Apparently, him and his team have secured just so many Oscar nominations, and it's well deserved because apparently right now they are just on top of the world. They are kicking ass, taking names, kissing babies, and just dominating. And it's so much fun to watch because Ryan Coogler is such a talented filmmaker, and he's so creative and just so solid at what he does. And I really think that it's worth taking a look at this movie. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen, and it was just art. I mean, it was just so artistic, and I have to give him tremendous credit for that. I mean, this man just he just shot it to the moon with this movie. But anyway, so how many of you? Give me a yes if you've been keeping up with this. How many of you know about all the Oscar nominations? Give me a yes in the comments if you know that the movie Sinners what has been nominated for how many Oscars? Is it 16 or something? 16 Oscars, which is just wild. I mean, Lord Jesus, man, I mean, it's beautiful, right? And it, and I think that it does speak to this false idea that great Black work doesn't get recognized. I think that it does. At the same time, though, I think that if you recognize it, that's all that really needs to happen anyway, right? White folks in Hollywood acknowledging the art that you appreciate does not make it more valid, right? There's nothing special or magical about a white man's a license sort of or label being slapped on your work or his seal of approval. And no disrespect if you're white, but this is just the truth. I mean, you guys don't sit around waiting for us to give you awards, right? So I'm really honestly I'm happy for Ryan. But I kind of have a little bit of a beef with the Academy anyway. If you read, there's a great book called The An Empire of Their Own, and it's how I can't even say that word JEWS because apparently YouTube they made a deal with Netanyahu where you can't even talk about them on YouTube. So I'm not going to do it. But basically, how the blanks invented Hollywood, and it was a really fascinating book in terms of just speaking to something that they did that Black people can do. Black people have the same ability to build empires that everybody else does. We have the same right to be great that everybody else does. I just think that sometimes we're afraid or we just don't think that we have what it takes. But I personally think we can do anything they can do. But if you want to know what the movie Sinners was able to pull off, I'll just give you a quick list. Lord Jesus, 16 Oscars, Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, Best Actor in the Leading Role. That's Michael B. Jordan. Ryan Coogler was Best Director, Best Original Screenplay. Let's see. Best Supporting Actor, Delroy Lindo. Man, he deserves it. Best Supporting Actress, Wunmi Mokasu. I'm not gonna say all the names, but Best Makeup and Hairstyling, Best Original Score, Best Casting, Best Costume Design, Best Product Design, Best Original Song, Best Film Editing, Best Sound, Best Visual Effects, Best Cinematography. So let's give a shout out to the movie Sinners. Type the word Sinners in the chat, just to give a shout out to Ryan and Coogler, and maybe type Coogler in the chat or way to go. Just let's shout out these Black people that are doing the damn thing. Now, what I want to say quickly before I jump into some of the economics behind the movie and some of the things that I think all of us can learn about this and learn about Hollywood is I have a lot of friends though who are really talented people. I go to LA. Sometimes I hang out with Tierra KJ Williams, who's a director and writer and producer out in LA. Very, very talented. One thing I have found is that there are so many talented Black people who never get the opportunity Ryan Coogler got. There are so many talented Black people out here in LA and other places that are struggling, that are, working, waiting tables and stuff like that. And I think that the greatness is not just in the Couglers. It's not just in the talent they discover. It's the greatness really is locked up in the undiscovered talent. It's the underutilized people that are out there in Hollywood that really represent that $1 trillion worth of Black talent that's out there. So what I would say is, as a finance professor, because that's what I do. In case you don't know, I'm a finance PhD. I taught at Syracuse University for 12 years. I encourage us to learn how to dig for the gold, right? I encourage us to learn how to go find our talent and go dig it up and really learn all these parts of the process so that we don't always have to outsource our chance to have greatness. A lot of making money from a film comes to production, distribution, and monetization. Making your product, getting it out to the public, and then monetizing once you get there. Why is there a middleman between us and the audience? If you got the talent, and the talent in your community, in your body, in your brain, in your creativity, in your culture, you should be able to distribute and monetize that all yourself. And that's where I think that there's an opportunity. That's the bigger opportunity, right? The success of Black people is not the symbolism of watching one amazing man like Ryan Coogler go out and make $1 trillion. The greatness of the Black community is all of us building a community where you've got 1,000 Ryan Cooglers, right? Like, give me a yes if you agree. Give me a yes if you agree. If I say that there are at least a few dozen, maybe a few hundred Black men and Black women that are just as talented as Ryan Coogler. Give me a yes if you agree that our community is full of talented people that can sing. Hey, who got more singers than us? Who got more rappers than us? Who's got more dancers than us? Who's got more actors than us? Who's got more writers than us? Who's got more directors and producers? And we got it all. We have all the talent. They only mess with us. They only talk to us because we have so much talent. You really think people want us around? No. You think if they couldn't pick their own, they wouldn't be doing it with their own? You think if they could win NBA championships with nothing but white boys, they wouldn't do it? Of course they would. Of course. But I'm not even mad at them, right? I'm telling you, like, hey, there's nothing wrong with taking care of your own. That's the other thing, too. That's where I make Black folks mad. I'm like, well, why would you share with other communities? It ain't your job to take care of Chinese people. It's Chinese people's job to take care of Chinese people. It's Jewish people's job to take care of Jewish people. It's white people's job to take care of white people. It's Black people's job to take care of Black people. Tell me if you agree with that. I know some people think that we are supposed to be saved by others, but I don't agree with that. I think we can save ourselves and we should. Let me go through some stats on this movie Sinners so I can give Ryan Coogler his props. Hit that thumbs up button if you could. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, I am on Spotify. So if you go to Spotify, look up my name, Boyce Watkins. You'll find my podcast. It's called the Dr. Boyce Breakdown. It's on Spotify. All right. So first off, Sinners crossed the $200 million mark at the U.S. and Canadian box office. No original film has done that since Coco in 2017. Coco is my nickname, by the way. My mama used to call me Coco, and we got a daughter named Coco. Crazy, right? Next, the film opened with 45 million in the first weekend, which is more than or across 3,300 theaters, beating major competitors out of the box office. Thirds, Coogler became the first Black director to have four films that grossed over 100 million domestically. Way to go, brother. Power to the people. Assalamu alaikum. All right. Sinners is one of the first horror thriller films this year to be embraced by the awards buzz. Also, critics and audiences have labeled Sinners as a breakthrough in original cinema at a time dominated by franchises. So, it would have been easy for him to do like Avengers 12 or Fast and Furious 14 or something. I don't know, whatever, right? These sequels, that's where people make the money. But ultimately, he did something original, which was beautiful. And how many of y'all, give me a yes if you've seen Sinners. How many of y'all seen this movie? Give me a yes if you've seen it. If you have not seen Sinners, I encourage you to go see it, man. I mean, I watched it, and I love Ryan Coogler. I love the vision and the creativity. I also love the way he and Michael B. Jordan have maintained a healthy relationship that's healthy enough for them to keep going there and winning championships together. And that's something. This is one of the reasons why in the Black Business School we have the first ever Black financial therapy department. We work with the best therapists in our community to help us to heal from the trauma that causes us to fracture our relationships. Right? When you get mad at that brother that you're doing business with, you ain't got to punch him out. You ain't got to go and cuss nobody out and cut people off. You can work it out. Conflict resolution is a critical and essential component to making money in business. Do y'all understand that? Do you believe me when I say that? Let me know if you believe me. Really, if you can get along, look at these two guys. Look at these two. They could have been out fighting. They could be on the internet talking shit about each other. Man, that motherfucker, man, I was hooking him up, right? I was putting him in movies and everything. And then he started tripping. So if I see him, it's on site, man. It's on site, right? That juvenile, immature behavior that you see sometimes from Black men, I think that that's inappropriate. That's not, so the best way to defeat an enemy, in case you want to know and get an Uncle Boyce tip on this, the best way to defeat an enemy is not to defeat the enemy. The best way to defeat an enemy is to see if you can turn the enemy into a friend. Turn the enemy into a friend. Let me give you an example. I'll give you an example that just happened this week. I know somebody's gonna get mad at me for bringing it up, but I don't give a shit. I'm gonna talk about this. Does anybody know about Corey Holcomb? And there's another guy. He has Antoine Daniels. He has glasses and a beard. I jokingly said he reminded me like a cross-eyed Rick Ross, but that's not right. You shouldn't talk that way. That ain't right. So anyway, Corey and Antoine got into it, and then when they got into it, then Kwame Brown gets into it with Antoine, and then you got all these Black men, each of them with hundreds of thousands of followers, fighting in public. And there's some people who like this. Some people like to watch black men going at it, taking each other out. I mean, I saw the little conflict between Corey and Antoine, and it was ugly. It was sad to watch. It was like, whoa, is somebody about to get punched right now? Now, here's the part about this that I got to step in and talk about is some of these guys are in their 40s, maybe 50 years old. Um, and you can contrast that. When I look at Ryan and Michael B. Jordan, not to put them on a pedestal, but these guys are showing what happens when you get along, when you work through any differences you have. And I'm sure that they've had conflict, but they work through it and they collaborate as opposed to on this other side where it's like competition, it's fighting, constant fighting. This happens a lot in hip hop. This is what made it kind of difficult for me to hang out with Damon Dash and Kanye West and all that. They're always trying to outdo you. There's always like a competition. So here's what I was thinking. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I was interested in the conflict with Anton and Corey and Kwame because all three of these guys at one point, if you search through the archives of the internet, you go swimming through the web, you'll find times where each one of them at some point has decided to attack me. Each one of them at some point has, for whatever reason, decided that week that Boyce Watkins was enemy number one. And maybe I was, maybe I did something where I deserved it. I have no idea because I make people mad because I tend to just say what I see. I try to be logical when I talk about things, and sometimes that makes people mad. But anyway, so I'm sitting here as I was looking at this. First off, I'll say this. In every situation, when each of those three guys got really angry at me, I mean, Kwame did like 11 videos about me in a row. He was really heated. I said one thing that really set him off, and maybe this is going to set him off. I have no idea. But every single time, first thing I did was I said, get him on the phone. I want to talk to him. Tell him to call me. He never called me, but I wanted him to. Um, Anton Daniels, when he got mad at me, I we got we got on a stream together and we talked. We debated. We were heated. I made my point. He made his. He got mad at me. I got mad at him. But by the time it was done, we had at least a relationship. I have Anton's phone number in my phone. I can call him. Third, Corey Holcomb. When Corey did a lot of episodes about me because I think done something to make him mad. And honestly, when you really do your therapy work, which I encourage all the black men to do, what you'll find is that a lot of times when people get mad and the chest pops out and they're ready to fight, it's because you hurt their feelings. It's like that's what people won't admit, but it's really hurt feelings, right? But whatever it was. But I got on the phone with Corey and Willie D, and then me, Corey, and Willie got online together, and the video's out there somewhere and we worked it out publicly. And Corey said, "Hey, why don't we talk about this in public?" I said, "That's a great idea because I kind of would like to set a good example. I'd like to show what happens when you have two black men, maybe with a little bit of power. Let's say you have some powerful men. Not that I'm putting myself on any pedestal. I don't know what I am, but and you say, well, what happens if we just become teammates? Or at the very least, what happens if we find some way to coexist where we're not spending our energy trying to destroy each other and sort of look at what the common enemy is?" And it was a beautiful conversation. It was so much fun. And I'm gonna tell you, it's exhausting to fight with people all the time. It's more fun when you have somebody that you used to fight with, where you're like, now that person's an ally. Now I can possibly partner with that person. We can do great things together. Because remember, I've got a few 100,000 followers. He's got a few 100,000 followers. He's got a few 100,000 followers. So we work together. Look at the great things that can be done. So Ryan Coogler, I'm gonna go back to Ryan and Michael B. Jordan. Again, I don't know anything about these guys or their relationship. I never met them, but these are two guys that have power, that have talent, and they've been able to dominate together as a team. I don't know. I don't think Ryan would be as great as he is without Michael B. Jordan. He's able to go back to the well, similar to how Spike Lee would go back to the well with Denzel. He's making movies with Denzel 30 years later, right? This is what happens when black men get along. And I encourage you, like if you're a smart black man, don't always go through life trying to compete with everybody. There's room for everybody to be successful. Find a way to collaborate. And some people you can't collaborate with. I get it. But at the very least, peace is how we prosper. Prosperity happens in peace. You don't have a lot of prosperity when there's chaos. You just have destruction. So anyway, I didn't want to get preachy, but I wanted to share that because this is something that jumps out at me as I'm looking at this. And you know that relationships are connected to wealth. That Dr. George C. Fraser has explained for 50 years how black people having better relationships with each other, learning how to do that, like literally taking classes on how to relate to each other, taking classes on how to heal through the therapy and everything. makes a massive difference in your outcome. So so if you agree with me, if you hear what I'm saying, type the word heal in the comments. Everybody put the word heal in the comments to let me know you're with me, that you get what I'm saying. Because I don't mean to be redundant, but I just want to encourage you to learn from this. This isn't just to celebrate what Ryan has done. It's really to sort of learn from it and say, man, okay, this is beautiful. How do you replicate this? When you see something that works, you replicate it, right? And if you replicate this level of success and collaboration amongst black men everywhere, then guess what? We won't be able to be stopped. White supremacists don't make no decisions up in my house. They ain't gonna make no decisions in your house. So don't ever let anybody get you to use the word white supremacy so much that you start to believe that they truly are superior or that they have supremacy over you. That is not true. You give them supremacy when you constantly are talking about it. You acknowledge it. You say, yeah, they got some power. Yeah, they've done some things. And then you start thinking about what you can do. You ain't got to always be on defense, man. You can be on offense too. Be on offense. Put them on defense. That's how you win. You put them on defense. You don't let them keep you on defense on your heels all the time. Anyway, let me move on. Shout out to the Indiana Hoosiers though. I met my wife in Indiana. We just kicked everybody's ass in the the college football playoffs. That was so much fun to watch. All right, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I want to mention that tomorrow night our real estate club is going to meet. So if you have an interest in learning real estate, we're bringing in experts that can work with you on this. So feel free to go to drboycerealestate.com. That's drboycerealestate.com. And also, if you want a free copy of my training called How to Make Money Without Working, just text the word money to the number 87948. Text money to 87948. Let me give you 5 reasons that I think Hollywood is dying. Ryan Coogler is going to be a billionaire. Michael B. Jordan is going to be a billionaire. And it's not going to just be through traditional Hollywood. Old school Hollywood is breaking up, getting beat up, getting stomped out. Movies are being made all around the world now. A lot of people moving away from LA. Again, when I was talking about how unity is how you prosper, well, California is a place that's built on a lot of division. You had the writers that were striking against the studios, and the studios that were sort of fighting back against the writers. And in the middle of all this chaos, none of them actually took the time to understand Nick Blick, that there was a threat that was sort of existential to the entire industry, right? While the writers were sitting there being mad at the studios and the studios were mad at the writers, they didn't realize that all of Hollywood was about to be wiped out. Tell me if you noticed this. Give me a yes or no. How many of you have noticed that Hollywood is getting burned badly right now? They're making movies everywhere except LA because all these other places are saying, hey, we want a piece of that. We want a piece of that. And they're starting to offer these extraordinary tax breaks for people to make movies in Hungary or I don't know, in Denmark and I don't, in Atlanta and in New Jersey and all this other stuff. And so basically, Hollywood is kind of dying anyway. Here's some stats to kind of chew on. Number one, there was a 40%, sorry, ticket sales in 2025 were down 40% compared to 2019. So people are buying fewer movie tickets. Domestic movie ticket sales in 2024 dropped to 817 million tickets sold, which is a 34% plunge from 2019. Pre-pandemic, people went to see a lot more movies than they did after the pandemic. The pandemic made everybody kind of antisocial and whatnot, and it just kind of changed everything. Hollywood just experienced its worst box office performance in 45 years. So this past year was the worst year in 45 years. Last year, 2025. The number of theatrical releases from major studios is much lower than in past decades, hovering around 95 wide releases in 2024 versus far more in earlier eras. The industry has lost tens of thousands of jobs, and reports that about 42,000 entertainment jobs have disappeared in over just 2 years due to production slowdowns. So, mama, don't let your babies grow up to be actors, at least not in Hollywood. Here's what I tell our youngest who wants to be an actress, a singer, dancer, writer, director, producer, and she's also a cheerleader. I say, number one, you got to learn business. If you learn business, we talk about Tyler Perry a lot. I do not watch Tyler Perry movies. I'm sorry, Tyler, if you're watching. I met Tyler and I like him. He's a nice guy, but I can never sit here and lie to y'all and tell y'all I can't watch Tyler Perry movies. But I respect his genius. I respect his formula. I respect the fact that this man knows his audience. He also understands how to build his wealth and to control his outcomes. Right now he's got some interesting lawsuits going on. I don't know if y'all saw those lawsuits. They're pretty big. I think one of them's like $250 million, which unfortunately comes with the territory in a way where if you are sleeping around and I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing though. Like, when you're rich and you're the boss, so many people want to sleep with you, and then you pick a couple people to sleep with, and next thing you know, somebody's accusing you of forcing them to do it. And I don't believe Tyler really had to go forcing people to do nothing. But then again, though, you never know. I mean, people sometimes drink or use drugs, and which are very bad ideas. Not to say Tyler does any of these things, but if alcohol or something is involved, then that's when people really do things to get sued. Like Lizzo. I warned Lizzo about the idea of her promoting this kind of dysfunctional behavior and the image, what it was doing to the image of the black woman. Of course, they got mad at me. The media wrote me up as a sexist patriarch or something, right? I don't know. They want to just try to, they hate black men, I guess. I don't know. But I didn't say it because I hated her. I said it because it was true. I said, you don't have to go around acting like a slut in order to sell a record. Like, you'd be like Taylor Swift. She ain't got to go and get on her knees and pretend like she wants to just sleep with every man that walks by like Taylor Swift just performs. Like, you're just as talented. So I thought I was being encouraging, but then again, maybe I need to practice. But anyway, after all the controversy, and believe me, every newspaper on earth wrote about this. They didn't interview me. They didn't ask me what I thought because they don't. I don't think they respect the ideas of black men, even those of us that have PhDs. But they did write about it, right? And they wrote about Lizzo's response to me, and which was fine. I don't care. That's how the media works. But here's the thing. Here's what's interesting. Here's where I'm going to say, I told you so. Not long after that happened, Lizzo got sued. Does anybody remember when Lizzo got sued? She got sued because she had people that worked for her that were basically saying that she created an unstable, unsafe working environment where women were asked to go on stage and put bananas in their hoo-has and just do all kinds of nasty stuff that was part of the show. And it was probably all fine and good until somebody got mad at somebody, right? So somebody gets mad at you, and next thing you know, they rewrite history and they take everything that they agreed to do with you and they write it up in a different narrative to make you look a certain way, and then you end up having to pay money. So ultimately, things like whether it's conflict resolution or just kind of thinking ahead in terms of how you engage with people, all these things come into play when it comes to wealth and wealth protection. So when I talk to, so that's the Tyler Perry piece of what I'm saying. But there was a little tangent. But let's get back to that. So I tell our youngest, I say, learn business. If you learn business, then the person who is able to raise money doesn't have to audition for shit. If you raise your own money and put on your own production and hire the actors and finance the stage, then you get to decide who gets to be on the stage. You see what I mean? Like, you get to decide who the star is going to be, what the storyline is going to be, which characters are going to live, which ones are going to die, whether or not you're going to have a role or not. So I told her, don't go into theater and don't go into acting as an employee. Go into it as an owner. And then, if you are an owner, what happens is that you have leverage in your negotiation should you decide to become someone's employee. The most successful rappers that I've ever seen are rappers that maybe weren't even that good, but they were able to establish their own business model by selling tapes out the trunk or something like that. Master P. We talked about the guys out of the LA E40, people like that. They were able to negotiate better record deals for one simple reason: they had options. It was real clear they were not financially desperate. They weren't sitting around waiting for somebody to save them. They had a place to go. So ultimately, what I would say to you is that at the end of the day, never put yourself in a situation where you don't have options. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. All right. So anyway, one more thing I'll mention too is if you go to my Instagram, Dr. Boyce Finance, I did a little video about gold and whether or not you should invest in gold. So if you go to my Instagram, Dr. Boyce Finance, write the word gold in the comments anywhere, and I'll send you a list of different ways to buy gold. That you can get that on Instagram. So feel free to go check that out. Also, speaking of having options, we do study stock options. So if you go to drboyceprime.com, you can learn how to generate income with options. I love real estate. I love owning real estate, but the best way to earn money consistently and safely is through the selling of stock options. I hold to that. Unless you really enjoy, being a landlord and stuff. If you enjoy it, then I guess it could be okay. But it's not as cash flow beneficial as you might think. But I can tell you tomorrow the way I'm going to make some money is I'm going to go sell some stock options. It's a beautiful thing. All right. So anyway, have a good day, everybody. God bless you. Please hit that thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, share, subscribe on your way out the door. Also, this podcast is on Instagram, so look me up. My name is Boyce Watkins. I'm a finance professor, and I teach finance every morning to 10,000 people for free. If you go to drboyceelevate.com, you can get an invitation to that as well. I'll see you guys soon. Have a good one. Take care now. Peace.